Management is the heartbeat of a company, and just like a heartbeat, management needs to be smooth and effective. A manager needs to be the heart, the driving cause of the pulse of the company, and as that driving force, a manager must have power. Power is a very tricky subject because it causes so many questions. Who has power? How does someone go about showing that they have power? When is it okay to challenge someone's power? And how does someone earn power? Power is when someone is able to command and influence a group of people in order to achieve a common goal. Anyone can have power, and usually power is earned and not given out. It is earned through hard work and taking the time to work through the ranks. It can also be earned through what is called butt kissing, but that is not what is going to be addressed. When power is earned, group members tend to respond to that person better because they feel like that person started where they are and they worked their way to the top instead of having it given to them. There are 5 types of power. The first is reward power, which is one's ability to disperse rewards to employees. The second type of power is almost the exact opposite of reward power, as it is mainly caused out of people's fear. This type of power is mainly derived from the ability to impose punishments or threats that are made. Legitimate power is when someone's position alone just gives them power. This is a very common form of power, and people with legitimate power tend to expect people to obey them just because they said to do it. The fourth type is referent power, and this power is highly rooted in a person's charisma. These people demonstrate that they are the leader and in charge based upon their actions and how they get things done. The final type of power is expert power, and it is based off of who has the best understanding of a subject matter. If you have a greater knowledge of a subject matter, you have expert power. So how should a manager go about showing their power and influence? Should they walk in and just fire someone on the first day? This is a very tricky situation because if displays of power are done wrong, a manager can be conceived as a jerk, a power-hungry madman, or a pushover. It does not work to just walk around and tell people to do a task just because you said to and you are the manager. Instead, work on techniques to motivate people while still showing them that you are in charge and they need to do as you say. It is a very tricky line to walk, but is possible. If done correctly, hopefully conflict can be avoided. Conflict can arise as a result of a multitude of reasons, and as a manager, you are responsible for getting the resolution to the conflict. A manager needs to listen to each side of the story and create a dialogue between the people involved in the conflict so that a positive result can be reached. Sadly, we cannot expect adults to act like adults. Some will choose to act like children, and as a manager, you need to be the mature one and try to ease the situation to a resolution. First, you must identify what type of conflict it is. Is it a competitive conflict or a cooperative conflict? Competitive conflict is when the parties involved will have a winner and a loser. Someone is going to be unhappy, but you have to work through it to figure out the best possible outcome. A cooperative conflict is a win-win situation, and this will mainly be achieved through talks and negotiation. The main point is that usually doing nothing is not an option. A manager does not need to expect the situation to work itself out because you are supposed to be the reason that it gets worked out. But negotiations are very, very important. BATNA stands for the best alternative to a negotiated agreement and is what will happen if the negotiations between the two parties fall apart. This is mainly left up to the manager's discretion. This should only come up if a decision cannot be reached through negotiations, but it can be used as leverage to get the negotiations moving. There can be many different causes for problems, and managers need to be able to adapt and address these problems. One of the largest causes of problems is change. Change many times is met with resistance and anger, but why? Why do employees resist change, and what can managers do to effectively implement change? There are many different reasons that change is resisted, and every situation is unique, but there are a few general reasons that change may be resisted. One reason is that people like a sense of familiarity, and they do not like having to do something new and different, especially if the change is seen as trying to fix something that is not necessarily broken. The employees don't want to change their daily routines because it is something that they know very well and it is something that they have great comfort in. Employees also tend to find fear in the unknown. This does not mean that they are afraid of it like someone who is afraid of clowns or someone who is afraid of sharks, but they are not comfortable in these new situations because it may raise several questions. Will they lose their job? Will they have to move? Will they make less money? Will more people be brought in to meet current goals? Many of these questions arise as a direct result of them feeling like they are losing some job security, which is understandable but can be addressed through communication with the manager. Employees may also feel they are losing control of their job. Think about when you're driving down the highway going 75 miles an hour and suddenly your tire blows out and you start to spin wildly. Would you feel safe? Would you feel in control? For most people, the answer is no, and this is how employees may feel about their job if they are forced to change. They may not feel like they have control over the work they put in, and that their job is spinning out of control into a ditch. This resistance may also be brought upon because of the manager. Let's face facts, no one is perfect. No one is the perfect manager. There will be times you screw up and times that your employees just don't like you. Hopefully these occurrences are rare and small, but they will happen. Managers may cause a resistance to change by poorly communicating the change to their employees. Maybe the manager walks in and suddenly says to the salesman that they will no longer earn commission on the items that they sell, and that is all the manager tells the employees. Will the salespeople get an hourly increase? Will they get benefits, or will they be stuck at a low hourly wage? They don't know because they were not told anything other than that their commission is gone because that is all the manager told them. A manager can overcome these by being a good communicator. Talk to your employees, educate them on what is happening. Create an opportunity for an open dialogue. This will allow them to feel that their input and feedback is appreciated, and maybe through talking to your employees, you can correct any wrongful assumptions they have about the change. Managers also are the captain, and as captain, they must lead the way. As manager, you must lead and exhibit the change that you want. You cannot sit back and say, "Do as I say, not as I do." Embrace the change wholeheartedly and become passionate about what you are doing, because if you do not show desire, then you and your group will surely fail. There is a checklist that is known to help make the introduction of change be successful. The 5P checklist stands for preparation, purpose, participation, progress, and persistence. In preparation, a manager should start to think about how the change will be implemented, if it will be costly and what the benefits will be, and what kind of driver is needed to make the change happen. This phase is mainly used to define what kind of change a manager wants to happen. Purpose is important because this is when the change is clearly defined so that it can be communicated well to employees. It needs to be well defined so that it can be quickly explained to busy people. Participation requires other key people to become involved. This is when the change is introduced and when employees need to begin to embrace the change. This is when the opponents to the change need to have their concerns heard so they can be worked with so that the change can be achieved. The fourth P, progress, is mainly an evaluation period. The manager needs to look and see if the change has been beneficial. Have your goals been met? The manager needs to see if the change maybe made the company take a step back. And finally, persistence is an incredibly crucial step. Managers need to always be persistent about the change. Do not waver, always be advocating the change, and continue to implement the change. Managers also need to make sure that employees are not starting to slack on the change and make sure that they do not start to revert back to the way things were originally done.